Hi, welcome to another edition of Wheels of the Week. I'm your host, Ray Young, and of course, this is the show where the cars are the stars, and we feature a lot of great classic cars and classic street rods, and we have a humdinger for you today. It's a 1969 Plymouth GTX, and we have owner Dave Wood with us. Now, Dave, you call this car GT Extreme. I call it the Incredible Hulk.
Well,
okay?
Thank you. Yes.
This is a fabulous car. Tell us how you acquired this car and how this transformation took place.
Well, we bought it about 7 years ago. Drove it for about a year, and this is the third GTX that I've owned, and I always thought that I wanted something to be a little different.
Right.
So we found a A&D Performance in Brampton. I wanted to put some sheet metal on the inside of the hood.
Right.
We did that, and then the next year we had to pull the motor out and rebuild the motor, and then we tubbed it. We have the big tires on the back to go with a pro street look, like a upscaled hot rod.
Right.
So we made it into a pro street car, then we put the big engine in it, then we put a complete frame in the car and upgraded the brakes, upgraded the interior. The only original thing on the car now is the trunk lid, the two doors, and the roof.
That's it.
Everything else has been modified, yes.
Otherwise, it's totally custom.
Totally custom, correct.
So how does the plan for a car like this take shape?
Has a lot to do with how much money you have.
Okay.
Unfortunately, an awful thing to say. It has to go, I think, in steps. You could take a car and just basically start from ground zero,
right,
and build it up. I think the fun of it was to rebuild the 440 engine that was in it and put a few little trick pieces in it so you can still drive it on the street.
Yeah.
And then over the winters is when you really build it. The first big notch for me was to put the narrowed rear end so you can get the large tires on the car.
And that's what you referred to as tubbing before.
That's correct. They tub it so you basically eliminate the back seat.
Right.
So you have an earth section in there to put the tires in.
Yeah.
And then you have to narrow the rear end, and when you do that you have to change all the suspension in the car. You have to put different brakes on the car, and it changes the way the whole attitude of the car is.
Sure.
And then you find out that you can't turn those tires. I mean, you're not supposed to turn the tires, so you need a little bit bigger transmission and you need a little bit bigger engine. And it's just an evolution, I think, of time as you go on, and you just try and do something different than anybody else has done.
Yeah. And you've been doing this for about 7 years with this car?
About 4 years off and on now, drastically changing the car.
Is this car complete?
No, it's not. We still have one more step to put a big supercharger blower on it over in the fall.
Right. Is there going to be room for that, is there?
Oh, yes. Not a question. Yes.
Okay, well, let's get back to some of the features of this car, because this car is just chock full of modifications, yes, and features, and I'd like to start basically with the engine, because it was a 440 engine. Correct. Which was absolutely huge. It was full of horsepower to begin with. Mm-hmm. What did you do with that?
We bought a crate engine from Chrysler. They offered a 528 cubic inch engine at 610 horsepower in a crate.
Yeah.
We had that for about a year, and then we modified even that and upgraded the camshaft, upgraded the oiling system so it has better oiling. Increased the rad, put an electric water pump on it, polished as many of the aluminum parts as we possibly could. 750 CFM carburetors.
What does CFM stand for?
Cubic feet per minute of air that can be utilized in the engine.
Right, and that's required in order to, what, burn the fuel efficiently?
Well,
or?
They say it is, but
Yeah.
it's a macho thing.
Oh, okay.
The bigger the carburetor, the better, right?
All right. Size matters, right?
The size matters,
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Extreme. And just to make it look nice, when you get into the cruise shows, it's nice to show off your handiwork and to show off what you've been able to do with the car. But the workmanship on the car, I think, is more important. Angelo and Debbie, that run A&D Performance, have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours on the car. The actual underneath of the car is probably better than the top. It's a full tube chassis.
Right.
A lot of street rod ornaments are on it, like the handbrake is all it's low car. It's a street rod type of machinery.
Yeah.
Ange built the custom dash made of stainless steel. We have a stainless steel firewall on the car, complete independent front suspension on the front, billet aluminum steering column. You'd have to ask me specifically. There's so many things in the car.
Well, you know, let's talk about specifics. I'm totally blown away by the remote control flip front.
Oh, yes.
What inspired that?
Well, we were sitting around. I think I like Coke and Angelo likes Pepsi, and we were sitting around one night and said, "What else could we do to the car?" And I said, "I've never seen a '69 Plymouth GTX with a flip front end."
Right.
Didn't know it was possible. Spent all winter, Angelo, and he designed it. And then we put a small electronic linear activator on it, and then we decided to make it remote control. So we've never seen another one.
And I haven't either. I was just blown away by this. What other kind of toys have you added to this vehicle?
We have pop-open doors. There's no door handles on the inside of the car. We put power windows in it. So we can remotely open the doors. There's no door handle to keep the look of the car consistent on the inside.
Yeah.
I basically call it a Pro Street rod.
A Pro Street rod, GT Extreme.
GT Extreme, that's correct.
Right. What other features?
Geez, you're getting me down to the nitty-gritty here now. Just about everything. The paint was a one-off color that we decided to pick.
Right.
The wheels are standard wheels that you can buy. ProStar wheels for the car. The wheels are production type of hot rod type of wheels.
The tires on the back though are huge.
Yes, they are. They're 33 inches tall and 21.5 inches wide.
Yeah. Gives the car very much a racing look.
Yes. Yes.
Do you race the car at all?
No, not a bit. I maybe shouldn't say it on camera. No, the outside street, but no. No, keep it to the speed limit. I think when you get to this point, it's more important to show off the car.
Yeah.
To show off the handiwork.
Right.
And we're a little bit older too, so we can appreciate what we've done to the car.
And you've added I think there's a roll cage in the car as well?
Yeah, there's complete roll cage incorporated with the frame, so the front and the back is all tied together.
Yeah.
It's probably safer than the other car that I drive normally. The brakes are better. They're all billet aluminum brakes. I don't know if you can see them through the spoked wheels there.
Right.
They come from a place that specializes in very heavy-duty braking systems.
Right.
And they're all billet aluminum. We put all the good hoses on it, not the covering type of hoses. It's the old saying, you pay for what you get.
Yeah. Now, I noticed a fuel cell in the back.
Yes.
Can you tell me what that's all about?
The reason we had to put a fuel cell in, when you tub the car, you actually narrow the chassis. There's no room for the ordinary gas tank. So the fuel cell sits in the trunk, and it's like an explosion-proof fuel cell.
Right.
And it's polished aluminum also, and it holds 16 gallons. And then we have the pump that comes in under the bumper that forces the fuel into the engine.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. The modifications that have been made. Now structurally, I guess you know, at what point did you have to really change the chassis of the car to keep this thing together?
Basically, when we did the tub, we left the front part with the K-frame and a Chrysler.
Okay.
Torsion bars. You remember those names from years ago?
Oh yeah.
Had torsion bars.
Yeah. But this is not a K car.
No, this is that was a K-frame that the motor sat on. When we decided to put the Hemi into it, we had the Hemi sitting in the normal configuration, and I wanted to go with a streamlined look for the engine. So to open it up and make it easier to work on it, because I don't like cleaning the car too much, I wanted to have access to it. With the fenders, it's very hard to get in there, so we just decided to eliminate them, put a front clip on it, and then tie the front chassis to the back chassis, just with 2 rails.
Tell me about a Hemi. What is it? What does it do? What's its function?
Well, it was developed years ago by Chrysler, a hemispherical head. You can think of it as a half of an orange.
Okay.
Where most valves come into an engine this way. A hemispherical engine, one is on either side of the hemispherical, and allows for better combustion. And Chrysler's won countless, all the Top Fuel and all the funny cars run Hemi derivative engines.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
So.
Now, when you were sort of alluding towards Chrysler's awards, but what about your awards? You take this car all over the place, don't you?
We take it to cruise nights, and we've just in the last couple of years taken it to a lot of shows. And we've won best street rod, best. I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you. We won one here yesterday.
That's what I want you to do. Begin to tell me.
Oh, classic cars
Tell me
and
about
legendary
yesterday.
stars. We won. There was 2 awards offered, which was very nice. First time they've ever done it. We won best modified car, and then they had best classic.
Yeah.
So we were not. It was not in a competition. It was voted on by the people at the show.
Oh, I see.
A couple of weeks ago, we won a couple of different awards at Honeywell. They have cruise nights for specialty shows. It's going to be the featured car in Acton. There's a cruise next weekend in Acton.
Cool.
So it's not for that to win the awards. The awards just make the acknowledgement that you're doing a good job.
Right. Now, you were mentioning Acton next weekend.
Correct.
Is that Saturday or Sunday or both days?
It's the Saturday. I think
Right.
it's, I don't know the date.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, if people want to get I guess a better look at this car, they can go to your website, can't
That's
they?
correct, 69gtx.com.
69gtx.com. And what kind of information do you include
I
on the
have
website?
about 2,000 pictures of the whole evolution of the car from day one. I have burnout videos, I have show videos, I have almost every video of the car being built, welded, put together.
Yeah. Dave, that's absolutely fantastic. I want to thank you for being on Wheels of the Week today. It's been an incredible treat to
Great.
see this GT Extreme car, the Incredible Hulk, as I call
Incredible
it.
Hulk.
And what we'd like to do now is remind you to stay tuned for Wheels of the Week's Tips of the Week, and we'll be right back for segment 2 in a moment. Wheels of the Week. In the second segment of this show today, we're going to look at a 1968 Roadrunner that was built by Angelo Frasca. And Angelo built the 69 Plymouth GTX that we saw in the first segment of our show. So you've got a stake in 2 cars on the show today, don't you?
Yes, we do. We have the 69 GTX and the 68 Roadrunner. The 68 Roadrunner is owned by Steve Wiley.
Owned by Steve Wiley, okay.
Yeah.
And now tell me the story of Steve bringing this car to your shop.
Well, he brought the car in where you wanted some changes, you wanted some performance done, you know, make the car a little faster, and to change the appearance of the car where we had done. So we looked it over, and we decided it'd be better to do a tub. Cut the car and top the car and go with the bigger tires, and go with a bigger engine and everything else. So we decided to do a full chassis car. Towards tubbing is, well, we actually cut the car and make up a whole new frame for it. In this case, we put a new Dana 60 rear end, which was shortened to allow for the bigger tires to go in. It would be fit inside the car. And we stretched the quarter panels, so they actually allows the room for the bigger tires.
So that's a body modification, right?
Yes, it's a major undertaking. You have to cut the whole car, the floors, and redo all the floors again. In
Right.
this case, we did them all out of aluminum.
Right.
You know, everything was done through aluminum to lighten the car up, and we did a full cage on the car too. That makes the car stronger.
Right.
And there's less flexibility on the chassis.
Right. And what kind of modifications did you make to the engine, Angelo?
Well, with the engine we did is it's a 440 block. We stroked it at 596. We put B1 heads on her.
And when you say stroked it, what does that mean?
It's different crank, which is steel crankshaft. It's got a shorter, like a longer stroke with different pistons, which are lightweight pistons. In this case, for free flow pistons.
Right. And
the B1 heads with the bigger valves will allow to do more power.
Right.
You know, and then we decided to put on a tunnel ramp with 2 4s, going with the Melodyne oil system to provide more oil to keep it cool more freely.
Right.
Actually we did the roller cam. We rollerized the whole motor, so it turns easier, less friction, so it does more power.
Now, what does rollerizing involve?
Well, it's which would be like a roller cam, it's a special grind cam, and the lifters have rollers in them, and so is the rockers, and that provides everything to move faster with less frictions.
I see.
Yeah, so we'll get more power out of it. And to allow more spark, we went with the MSD ignition system, and that allows bigger, stronger spark into the chambers.
Right.
Which, to make sure all the gas is burned and everything else, so there'll be less unburned gas going out the tailpipes.
Yeah, so car burns more fuel efficiently that way.
Very,
a little bit more clean, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now this car doesn't take regular pump fuel, does it?
It runs a lot better. It will burn regular fuel, but it will run better if it's half gas, which it's 104 octane.
Octane 104.
Yeah.
And compared to the pumps, It's what?
There's very low. I think it's about 84.
84
on,
octane,
on the
yeah.
thing. So it does burn more efficient this way.
Right.
It's cleaner, so it creates more power out of it too.
Yeah. Can you tell me more about the carburation then? What did you do
The
there?
carburation is, we put it on 2 4s, 650s, CFMs, double pumpers, with double feeders, and they're BG carbs, and Berry Grand, and it's got a Berry Grand fuel pump system and everything else. Like the whole fuel system is out of Berry Grand setup. It's a lot better. We think it is better.
Yeah.
You know.
When you were describing modifications to the engine, you mentioned along the way that you also had to allow for better cooling of that
Yes,
engine. So
yeah.
what kind of things sort of have to stack up to keep this engine
Well,
cool?
we did is we had the radiator special made for the car, which as we're doing the chassis, we allow more room, to put in, which we're not limited to the restriction when the car was built stock. So by cutting everything out of the car and redoing it all, we actually allow more room. We had the radiator made up for the car.
Yeah.
Went with 2 electric fans.
2 electric fans.
And Meladon Messier fuel, electric fuel water pump, which is, it produces more water flow and everything.
Yeah. And you got to tell me what's sticking out of the hood. I mean, we have the hood up. When it's down, we've got these 2 stacks or whatever. What is that all about?
That is, it's a tunnel ramp system, which it does create more power. It's all it comes down to, more power out of it. And by having the system, the carburetor is higher, then you get better fuel mixture with air. You know, the higher the system is, the better. More fuel, more power you make out of the car. And the tunnel ramp system is very good setup for it. There's all variation of intakes, but we choose the tunnel ramp. So we'll have the 2 carbs coming out through the hood.
Now, when the car came in, what kind of horsepower did it have, and what kind of horsepower does it have now?
Well, right now we're not actually dying on the motor. But we figure through the whole thing, by the stroke and the heads we put on everything, we figure about 700 horses.
700 horses. That's legal?
Yes, it is. Yeah, so we have improved it quite a bit, considering what the 440 had before. It's about 360 something.
Yeah. Tell me something about the rear end in the car now.
The rear end itself is a Dana 60. It's got disc brakes on the back, which SVO brakes. It has been shortened, to mention it, and it's got a spool in it, so both wheels will run efficient. There's no fluctuation between one and the other. You know,
Okay.
The spool allows both to stay together all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of modifications did you have to do to the exhaust system?
Well, the exhaust system, we actually made up the headers for it. Then we went to straight smaller mufflers for it, and the 2 pipes on the side, because we really don't have the much room to put tailpipes anymore underneath the car. So we decided to make them come out just by the wheel wells.
Yeah. I want to switch gears a bit to all of the aluminum that I see in this car. There's aluminum everywhere. You mentioned the choice of material, I guess because it's lighter, but...
It's lighter because we really wanted to take the weight off the car.
Right.
So the choice was the aluminum. So we designed all the aluminum throughout the whole car. And it's all custom made, front to back, the floors, side panels. The tank is made out of aluminum too. Except the dash. We decided to give a little more class.
Right.
And we decided to make that out of stainless steel.
Stainless steel, yeah, it does. It looks very, very classy.
And the full cluster, we made sure.
The instrumentation, you mean? Yeah.
You know, we did all that so you can keep an eye of everything.
Yeah.
Oil cooling, the engine, the tranny, everything. Yeah. Just to maintain everything cool.
Right.
Yeah. So the driver will have more of what's going on under the hood.
Now, if I don't miss my guess, I thought I noticed that the battery is in the back of the car?
Yeah, we decided to move the battery from the engine compartment to the trunk, as because there's actually no room for it.
I was going to say there must have been no room,
Yeah,
but
there's
are there
no-
any other advantages to that?
Well, it's to put more weight to the back wheels, and it's down on the passenger side. As the car will launch, when the car would twist, it'll twist towards the passenger side. So any weight on that side, it helps.
Oh, I see.
You know,
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons too.
So you even fine-tuned the weight distribution in this car.
Yeah, it's put out to the back. It's the more it goes, because it's usually, you know, if you were racing the car, it's only one person into the car.
Does
So the
Steve
more-
race this car?
No, he hasn't. You know, it's more of a. It can be driven on the track. It's built for that.
Right.
But it's he doesn't choose it. He just chooses
Yeah.
it
So-
for the street.
So let's talk a little bit about the value of the work that you've put into this, like in dollar terms. You know, how much has gone into this particular vehicle in bucks?
In dollar value, altogether we figure about $100,000. A little over $100,000.
$100,000.
Yeah.
That's quite a pretty penny.
Yes, it is.
But he's got a pretty car too.
Very. Yeah.
Yeah, Angelo Frasca, I want to thank you very much for being with us
thank
on
you.
Wheels of the Week. That will conclude our show. Please sure to tune in next week for more Wheels of the Week on Rogers Cable Television Channel 10. Thanks.